Hey, this is Justin. All right, we are live here. Hey, this is Justin. So I just did a 12-minute podcast episode where I just yapped for about 12 minutes straight and basically said nothing because I didn't have the microphone on. So this is going to be our second test for the microphone. I was inspired last night by Seth Godin's book, which is, what is Seth's book called? Practice. And he was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. And he talked about, do the work, don't add any drama around the work, and then deliver it. And that's what it is. Ship your work, and then don't necessarily worry about making it better. So inside of that, I was just like, the number one thing that I'd like to ship is audio messages, especially audio brainstorms that come literally from the top of the head and then start turning those into real things out into the world. And as I realize here, we have a monetizable business here. We have we got a monetizable business here because we are recording audio messages and recording and with ads. When I'm talking about ads on the background, so is this going to be as pleasurable an experience? I don't know, but we can start playing around with some of the ads on the background and just see what happens as far as monetization goes, and what is it actually going to take to be able to create audio that is going to generate enough income to be pleasurable. And I'm creating these for audiences of one, and what Seth talks about is showing your bad work, showing that work that is not good, and showing that and putting it out there. And if you keep on putting out your bad work, eventually you will be unable to do that. Eventually you're going to have to put out some good work, because bad work can't persist that long. And let me just do here, and let me just get a draft here. Spreaker upgrade. Yeah, let's do that here. Yep, eventually bad work can't persist that long bad work can't persist that long in a weird state. And so that's what we do. We go for a walk, we brainstorm, we share some of the different ideas, and we get to a place where something gets inspired inside, where it's like, we got to do something with that. That is something that we should be paying more attention to. That is something that matters. That is something that we actually can care about, and that is something that we can actually work with on the back end. And then probably after these sessions, we'll start doing some post-game wrap-up for what are the steps that we're going to take, or the actions that we're going to take to start turning these things into sort of the monetizable live businesses. And so we just build from, I like it, we build organically from the audio up, as opposed to building backwards from doing some of the computer work, right? We just get the little pieces in order, try out those little test balloons, see where we can connect the dots, and some of that's going to be through hiring, some of that's going to be through actual work, connect the dots. And it's going to be through hiring, so it's going to be through actual work. Start communicating with people over Yak that we get hired for a decent rate, and see what we can make happen, see what we can make work, see what we can make go, and create something, just do a project to get something over the line for people that could make a difference. All right, now we're just speaking general nonsense terms. So here's the thing I've been thinking about. I got a URL earlier this week for a WordPress site, and it's still not up yet. And I want to go and do the work myself, but I realize I'm not going to do it. Should exercise the practice of taking some of the revenue or doing something that's a little bit more effortless. It's effortless for me to go and do user tests, to do 10 user tests to generate $100, then I could hire somebody for $100. That is more effortless for me to do than to actually build out the site. So do that work that's a little bit more effortless. I could do 10 user tests over the next couple of days, get those knocked out, and then once that's done, I could hire somebody on the back end. And now I've got the funding in place to be able to set up my set up the website, or can come up with another mechanism for getting it funded. So look at those places where we can start to generate revenue and use that revenue to reinvest to create something new out there in the world, or look for places that are a little bit more effortless to be able to start creating some of these SEO sites. I wonder if I should probably just bring back Rookie Coder. Yeah, I wonder what that takes actually just to set Rookie Coder back up. Find out where that URL is. It was hosted on HostGator at one point in time. I got to find out where the URL is and move that over, and maybe that site is actually still live someplace, and I can just hook the hosting back up for that and just get to work on that. So rookiecoder.net is another possibility for just hooking the site back up. I like operating these things from audio messages, from thought to mouth to recorded to action while we're doing walking and talking. That's where we can do some of the best work. Let me just check out rookiecoder.net. I'm going to have myself a draft on that. rookiecoder.net. Yep. So let me talk about drafts versus Todoist real quick. Drafts, you can just quickly capture lightweight messages, and you can have workflow that comes through drafts, and it could actually feed into Todoist at one point in time. The challenge with Todoist is it's great for the work, but it's not great for processing huge volumes of data. As I come through this, I'm going to come up with 50 or 60 different ideas as I come through this piece of work, and I've got to be able to capture them in drafts. Now, what I want to be able to have happen is have the workflow in place where I don't even have to go to drafts during these sessions, where I trust myself enough that these sessions are going to get reviewed in a way that they will show up inside of the workflow. And that is a possibility with Speak AI, when I can say, give me an action item list, and then that will trigger what are the action items that I talked about during the session, and those can start to kick in, and then we come up just ways with triaging the action items to make those work. So that is that is a fun way, and that's actually just possible inside of Otter at this point in time, to be able to just capture some of the words that we talked about, and then being able to triage these messages. Also, if we're re-listening to them for audio quality and what could happen in air once they get into Apple Podcasts, which is another action item to get Apple Podcasts set up. Once you get them into Apple Podcasts, then it can be another area where we can make this stuff work. I'm thinking I want to create these as emails as opposed to drafts, because emails that will go out to other people, and just push send on those, and that starts generating. Email is probably the best way to start to be able to communicate with people about what's happening, or creating videos that start tying this back. So I imagine it's sometime in the near future, I will just push play on these audio messages, and then a whole set of workflow and activities will happen regardless of what we're talking about, right? Just push play and talk, and then on the back end, a whole bunch of different stuff is going to happen. A whole bunch of different workflow is going to be kicked off and created, and we'll take it there. And then I could potentially have the opportunity to do private podcasts for people. I like that. Private podcasts for people that are a little bit more organized and that are a little bit more paid. Private podcasts that people can actually listen to in ears, that can start to inform and can inspire their days, and then we can go back and forth on conversations over a period of time, and there'll just be different service levels for being able to make things happen. But the whole idea is we want to go from the thought process in the head, idea to reality, and that is actually spoken. And until we can just have our thoughts turn into things, in reality out there into the world. And my new company is called Idea to Reality. Idea to Reality. Until we can, it's the easiest path and the most effortless path to go from idea to reality. And sometimes that means kicking off real workflow out there in the world, and sometimes that means just yapping and talking and doing slight improvements around the stuff that we are doing. But if we build out a system that just allows things to go from thought to voice to out there in the world, then things can get really interesting really fast. I'm regretting a little bit the not feeding this guy breakfast before taking him out, but that's okay. I might just do because he's going to, that's all right, I can do this. I'll take him back here, feed him a little bit of breakfast in the morning, Actually, you know what? I'm going to take him up to hang out with the kids for a little bit, and then he can have a later breakfast, a second breakfast, a little bit later on. He can eat afterwards. They could feed him a little bit after they wake up, and then I can just go for a walk at 7:39. I'll take him up there at like 8 o'clock, and we'll get it started moving that way. That's probably a little bit of a better idea. So we just kick off workflow. I like also the idea and the possibilities of being able to just import files here and to be able to listen to files on the back end. Yeah, listen to some of the recipes for the stuff that we are working on and creating. All right, so just go for a walk. Just go for a walk, and then on the back end, kick off some workflow that can turn that work that we did on that walk into something real out in the world. There can be to-do lists that we can just throw links, right? This is my stuff, so I can throw links into the, I wonder if this can get into some Google Docs workflow. That's interesting, because we're signing in with our account. Just kicking off some Google Docs workflow for the stuff that we're actually talking about, and taking just this it's unstructured language and actually making something and turning. That's what it is. It's unstructured data. It's taking unstructured data and then turning it into something valuable out there in the world. And I think, okay, all right, I'm happy about this. This guy just went. All right. This guy just went to the bathroom in the woods. So that's an overall positive situation. He's already eaten something. We just cover that up. This is woods on our own property. When we're off our property, we clean it up. But, we just get it covered up there. We got it there. Now he can go upstairs and go hang out with the family and do some of his regular morning routines. And I'm going to go out for another walk, potentially with a second phone. Let's see. Potentially with a second phone to make it work. And, that's what we got. All right. I'm going to put a pause on this one. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing day.